It may be different than everyone else that may be very introverted as a child.
Lou. It might be different from what other people do. As a child I might have been very shy. He lost 80% of his hearing when he was only 3 years old. He had hearing aids that were broken by kids who called him Deaf Louie. He got hit by his dad when he cried about mean kids at home. He cut up old junk to build strength so that he would never feel weak again. But success showed up in new ways. He had to go through Hulk makeup sessions that burned his skin for 5 years. His torn bicep kept his daughter from being killed. His wife of 43 years has left him because he seemed like the Hulk to her. She is now 71 years old. The sadness of Lou Ferrigno's death is unbearable. Lou Ferrigno was born in 1951, but things didn't go well for him right away. He had terrible ear infections as a toddler, not the kind that go away in a week, but the kind that damage things for good. He had lost 75% to 80% of his hearing by the time he was 3 years old. What's the scary part? Before that no one knew. His parents didn't know something was wrong until they clapped their hands behind him and he didn't move. Because of that delay, he lived his first few years almost alone, and no one knew he couldn't hear. He was given hearing aids once the doctors finally figured it out. It was the 1950s though. They weren't small or quiet. Heavy bulky boxes with lines hanging off of them were strapped to his chest. Lou didn't like how they made him look. He said he felt like a man from Mars one time. He could hear a little better with these things but not much better, and his speech was already different because he missed so much language growth in the beginning. Some people noticed. He had a hard time at school with the kids. He was known as Deaf Louie and Deaf Mute. They made fun of the way he spoke. He couldn't fight back when people hit him in the chest to break his hearing aids. His body was thin and he moved slowly. He often felt like an outsider, so he read comic books to escape. His favorite figures were the Hulk, Spider-Man and Superman. They didn't fit in, but they had power they didn't show. The stories helped him in a way that school never did. Things were not better at home. Police officer Matthew Ferrigno, his dad, was tough and didn't believe in making excuses. Lou's dad didn't calm him when he came home crying from being picked on. He hit him. He told her, "Don't come home if you can't fight your fights." Lou's marks went down because he couldn't read lips from the back of the class, so his dad locked the gym in the basement, and told him it would stay locked until he got better grades. He later said that my dad turned me down because I wasn't perfect, but that rejection didn't break him. It made him stronger. He wished he was so strong that no one could hurt him ever again. So Lou changed. He always sat in the front row and learned to read lips very quickly. He got lost when the teacher turned away to write on the board, but he kept going. He didn't always tell his teachers that he was deaf. He felt too bad about himself, but he looked at people, made guesses and worked things out by reading their faces and body language. He had to focus and not give up to get through school, even though it was hard. But when Lou was 13, in 1964, everything changed. He watched TV and a movie called Hercules came on, and Steve Reeves played the lead part. For Lou it was like seeing a real-life superhero. But Reeves was more than just strong. Those were the kinds of people Lou looked up to in comic books. Lou knew what he wanted at that moment. He wanted to read more than just strength. It was the Hulk that he really wanted to be. He once said that the Hulk was like the green Santa Claus because he was strong but nice. Lou wished he were that. He wished he was strong enough to never be picked on again. But gyms cost a lot of money, and his family didn't have any. He made his own weights because of this. He went to a dump at age 13 and found some old cans. He then filled them with cement and put them on a broomstick. It was his first barbell. He used hinges and nails to join two big wooden boxes together to make a bench. He put a pillow on top to ease the pain. He said it hurt my back. I tried to copy everything I saw in the mags though. This is how he trained for years. He finally joined a real gym when he was 17. It was R&J Health Club. But he had already built a strong body out of junk metal and hard work by that time. It wasn't enough to pay the bills though. So when Lou was only 17, he got a job in 1969 at a rough sheet metal shop in Brooklyn. Back then $10 an hour was a good wage. Now that amount is about $75. Things that could cut off fingers were inside, and it was loud and risky. For someone who was almost deaf, it was very bad. Lou had to keep working though because he needed the money for food and medicine. He brought boiled eggs, tuna, and cottage cheese to eat before his workouts while everyone else ate sandwiches. Then in 1972, everything changed. Right next to Lou, a hydraulic press crushed the hand of a coworker. That was the last blow. He left and didn't come back. As a bodybuilder, Lou didn't have a guaranteed job, but he took a chance, and it paid off. He shocked everyone in 1973. When he was only 21 years old, he became Mr. America and Mr. Universe. That had never been done by anyone his age before. He was about 285 pounds and stood 6 feet 5 inches tall. He was huge compared to other athletes, but what he had been through before made his rise even more impressive. Lou lost most of his hearing as a child because of an ear infection. Kids picked on him. He began pulling weights not only to get stronger, but also to feel less alone. After a year he did the terrible thing again. He won again as Mr. Universe. He went to Mr. Olympia in 1975, even though he didn't win. Coming in third put him in the top 10 of his sport. Everything changed that year. A video called Pumping Iron started to be made. It came after the fight between Lou and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Lou was the right size. He weighed almost 50 pounds more than Arnold, but Arnold had something else. He played with our minds. Before the game, he asked Lou and his parents to breakfast. Arnold smiled and told Lou that she only needed 1 more month to be ready while they ate eggs and coffee. Then he bragged that he had won 6 times, as if he had already won again. Arnold's strategies worked, even though Lou later called Arnold cocky. Lou came in third. Arnold won his 6th title. Lou was poor, even though he had won 2 Mr. Universe titles. It didn't pay to do bodybuilding. Lou worked in a metal shop in Brooklyn for 3 years and got paid $10 an hour. By 1975, he had to stop competing. He was still in great shape, but the prize money wasn't enough to pay his bills. Sue Green and Lou Green got married in 1980. He had only $5K saved up. Carla had $7,000. That was it, she said. We built our money and our house from nothing. There was no one else like Lou at that time. His arms were 23.5 inches long, which was longer than Arnold's. No one ever proved that he could pull 900 pounds. Still, he was big and strong for real. A lot of the time, tall wrestlers looked skinny. Lou didn't. He was huge, but he was still balanced. All of that happened before the age of lots of steroids. He worked hard, was disciplined, and felt like he had to show he belonged to get those muscles. In 1975, when he was only 24, Lou shocked people again. He stopped weightlifting. He was not hurt. He was not hit. He didn't have enough money to keep going. A lot of the contests paid only $1,000. Things changed again in 1977. For the Green Beast, the people who worked on the Incredible Hulk wanted someone very big. They first called Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was clean-cut and 6 feet 1 inch tall. They told him he wasn't tall enough though. They then tried Richard Kiel, who is 7 feet 2 inches tall, and played Jaws in the James Bond flicks. They came on set with him to film. Then something strange took place. The young son of the director came to the set and took one look at Kiel dressed up. Just like that, he told his dad, "That's not the Hulk." Things changed. They began their search again, this time for someone who looked like the comic book Hulk, big, torn and scary. At the same time, Lou Ferrigno was busy getting ready for the Mr. Olympia 1977. He got a call for an audition out of the blue. It was green paint on him, and they told him to look like the Hulk. Lou said he stood in front of the camera, growled, and moved like a wild animal. That's when they hired him right away. He missed his chance to win the Olympia to play the part. His whole life changed after that one choice. The real work hadn't even begun yet though. Making up took almost 4 hours at the start of every shooting day. It wasn't just paint. The green pancake makeup was thick, chalky, and stuck to everything. 6 more levels were added. After that, the fake teeth, nose and temples were put on. The worst part, the white glasses or contacts. That's how long he could wear them before they hurt too much. Lou was fully dressed as the Hulk for 20 hours straight during the pilot show. Yes, 20. He had to build a private shower into his trailer just to get the paint off because it was so hot. The green still wouldn't come off. It took 6 months for his toes to turn black. The bodily damage was terrible. Lou tore a muscle in a scene from 1978 where the Hulk pulls a car. He also got chemical burns from the green makeup, especially when they filmed outside on hot days. It was over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and the weight changes were crazy. He had to quickly gain weight for some parts, and then lose weight for interviews. As his dietitian told him, it was bad for him. The devices made his skin break out, and he had to get treatment every few months. In 1981, he told People magazine that worry, chemicals, and not getting enough sleep had made him look 42 years old, even though he was only 30 years old. Lou still worked harder than everyone else. He did 95% of the tricks himself. CBS had safety rules against that, but he didn't care. He thought that no other stuntman could do what he could do as the Hulk. He hurt his back when he ran through a fake wall that wasn't built right, but he kept recording. Another night at 4 a.m., the Hulk had to use lines to flip a car for a scene. The tools didn't work. Lou was dirty with green paint, tired, and mad. "Say, do you think I'm not going to flip that car over?" He then used his strength to flip the car over himself. He said, "That night I think I really turned into the Hulk." He is still in pain from that back accident. If you ask him if it was worth it, he'll say he doesn't think so, because he could hear. Things got even worse. Lou had ear infections when he was 3 years old, and lost most of his hearing. On set, he had to read lips to do what they said. When there wasn't much going on, that worked fine. But when there was, they couldn't just yell cut, so he had to guess when a scene was over. His hearing aids would sometimes break in the middle of a shot, and he missed important signs that told him to be safe. He wore 2 at once in the end just to be safe. He kept going anyway. Fans didn't always know that the Hulk's roars and growls were his. To begin with, the voice was done by Ted Cassidy, who played Lurch from the Addams Family. It was Charles Napier who took over after Cassidy died in 1979. A long time ago, Lou wasn't the official voice, but that changed. Lou's voice was finally used in 2012 for The Avengers. His screams and growls mixed with Mark Ruffalo's, and once more in 2015's Age of Ultron. That meant that Lou Ferrigno had voiced the Hulk for 37 years, longer than anyone else. But it wasn't easy to be famous. People liked the Hulk more than Lou. They would walk up to him with big eyes, and be excited, but they would never call him by name. They couldn't see the man who was hiding behind the paint. He began to dislike that. He once said it felt weird to be known for a role he couldn't even talk through. Since he was a kid reading comic books, he wanted to be a hero. He was one, but no one knew who he really was. He was by himself, even on set. The makeup was hot and thick. To keep from getting too hot, he had to stay in an air-conditioned van between takes. That meant that while Bixby and the crew laughed and got to know each other, he sat alone, sweating and waited. It reminded the Hulk of how lonely he felt, always on the outside, never understood. Lou Ferrigno was ready to live his dream in 1983. The first Hercules, Steve Reeves, was someone he had always looked up to. Now it was his turn to play the famous strongman. The name of the movie was Hercules, but it wasn't like anything from Greece in the past. It was full of lasers, robots, and crazy sci-fi effects from the 1980s. Ferrigno worked out more than ever, and told me he was in the best shape of his life. His muscles were really big. Some people said they looked like they might pop, but something didn't seem right about the movie. When it came out in theaters on August 26th, Ferrigno didn't have his own voice. Every word he said had been dubbed by a different man, Mark Smith, but that wasn't enough for him to agree with taking away his voice. Afterward, he said that was a shame, because that would have made it a better classic. Even worse was seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger, who had been his competition for a long time, get the same dubbed role in Hercules in New York years before. But Arnold's career took off, while Lou's got stuck. People in Hollywood started calling Ferrigno a one-note actor. After the movie didn't do well at the box office, things were even worse behind the scenes. Sue Green and Lou Green got married in 1980. They only had $12,000 between them. She brought $7,000. Lou had $5,000. For someone who had just played the Hulk in a hit TV show from 1977 to 1982, it was frightening. But fame did not bring money. Lou used to work in a Brooklyn sheet metal shop for $10 an hour before he became famous. It was very hard work. A man lost his hand in a machine one day. Lou quit the same week. Once the Hulk show was over, the money ran out very quickly. She stepped in. She hired him as a manager, set up his shows, and went on the road with him to start over. Afterward, she said, "We built our money and our home from nothing." They finally broke down in 1991. The rich and powerful wrestler Vince McMahon offered Lou $500,000 a year, which is about $875,000. He wanted Lou to join his new World Bodybuilding Federation. Everything was so bad that Lou almost said yes, even though he said no. It was the same year that Ferrigno tried to get back into weightlifting. It had been 17 years since his last race. He got the best deal ever from McMahon, who is a bodybuilder, $500,000 a year. That was better than everything Arnold ever made. There was a catch though. It was important to McMahon that all players pass drug tests for 3 months in a row. Lou didn't agree with that plan. Joe Weider, a famous bodybuilder, gave Lou $250,000 in cash though, and $250,000 in ads for his line of clothing. Lou picked bigger. He went up on stage at Mr. Olympia in 1992. He was 41 years old. He came in 12th. It was more than okay to do after so many years. It was a return. But Ferrigno's most powerful moment wasn't on stage or in a movie. It took place at home in 2020. His kid Shanna was having fun next to his truck when an air cylinder that weighed 1,000 pounds fell over. Lou jumped forward and grabbed the machine in an instant. It wasn't going to crush her, but he tore his arms right off the bone. He said it sounded like a shirt being torn. He thought his arm looked like a child's when he looked down. It was curled up into his armpit. The damage was one of the worst that a weightlifter can get. He was really sad. It was risky for his job, but an NFL player named Bubba Smith took him to a doctor. Ferrigno had surgery the next day. He came back after 6 painful months. He could do it again with 600 pounds. He was more than just strong. He would do anything to protect his child, even rip himself apart. Something strange took place in Hollywood in the early 1990s. Michael Jackson's personal trainer was none other than Lou Ferrigno, who played the Big Green Hulk on TV. It was a surprise to everyone. It wasn't just a picture op or a way to get fit. Jackson's surgeon told Ferrigno he was the only person who could help. Jackson couldn't work out in public, so Lou went to him. He went to Jackson's house 3 or 4 times a week. But this wasn't about working out with weights. It was about being flexible, dealing with pain, back problems, doing light work on a bike and stretching. Jackson kept moving on stage without falling apart with the help of balanced balls and carefully planned moves. Jackson always ate only vegetables, and sometimes only 1 meal a day when getting ready for big shows. As the years went by, something more grew. They talked about when they were kids. Their dads were very strict. They were both pushed hard. One man on TV was the best. The other one was the world's most famous artist. Jackson taught Ferrigno how to moonwalk one day in the private gym. Lou said it felt very high in the sky. Jackson liked to play hide and seek with his kids, after working out like a kid again. Ferrigno saw the king of pop turn into Mr. Mom. However, Ferrigno's life did not end in Hollywood. At age 53, he shocked everyone again when he was in his 50s. He changed into a different outfit, this time as a real police officer, not a trick or a TV part. In order to get his gun license and finish his first aid classes, he trained, took tests, and passed background checks. He signed up to be a deputy sheriff on call in Los Angeles County. It wasn't just an honor, it was important to him. His dad used to work for the NYPD as a captain. That's why it felt personal. Over time, Lou also worked in San Luis Obispo. Next was Irving, Texas. He had worn the badge 3 times by 2018. He said that his fame didn't help him get things done faster. He earned everything he did. But even though most people knew him as the Hulk, Lou became known to a whole new group of people through comedy. He played himself in 20 episodes of The King of Queens between 2000 and 2007. It wasn't the superhero version. This Lou was kinder and funnier.
goofing around with Kevin James, making people laugh live, teasing his own fame, and living the life. He said that the show hit home for him because it's like what he goes through in real life. People who didn't grow up with the Incredible Hulk began to like him for a completely different reason. The scary strong guy was now just a big funny neighbor. Then there was reality TV. The year 2012 saw Ferrigno join The Celebrity Apprentice. Things got messy after that. Fights started. Things were very tense. The screen blew up for a moment. Lisa Lampanelli, a comedian, said that Lou and another contestant were useless, and that they only had 5 brain cells between them. When things got tense in the meeting, Lou lost it. He told Lisa, "She's lucky she's not a man, because I'd throw her right through that window if she was." Things got worse. Later, on live TV, he said that her brain was damaged by not being fit. His team still won $50,000 for the Muscular Dystrophy Association, even with all the trouble. In a film that went viral, he even danced while mopping. After 8 shows he was fired in the 9th episode. After only 3 years things got bad at home. Lou sued his brother twice in 2015. He had a brother named Andrew, who ran a workout equipment business, said that wasn't fair. It had his last name in it, but it wasn't about him. In the first case a statement was asked for. In the second, Andrew was told to get rid of the word exercise. Lou was thought to be worth $12 million at the time. Andrew was very angry. He told TMZ, "Why does he need to suck me dry? I am so confused." Andy gave up in the end. He changed the company's name to Andrew Ferrigno Equipment. Lou Ferrigno is best known for being the voice of the Hulk on the 1970s TV show, but his voice has also been used in recent Marvel flicks. Ferrigno was the one who roared and growled behind the scenes in 2008's The Incredible Hulk. They were all there when Hulk slammed Loki, and called him a weak god in the Avengers 2012. It wasn't just Mark Ruffalo, the voice of Ferrigno, the tone of Ruffalo, and Marvel's unique sound effects, all mixed together. That went on until 2015's Age of Ultron. But when Hulk talked more like a person in Thor, Ragnarok, Marvel stopped using Ferrigno since then. He wasn't joking about it. He thought the character was becoming less like the wild, dangerous creature he used to play. Ferrigno was hiding a fight that no one saw off-screen. He lost 85% of his hearing when he was 3 years old because of a bad ear infection. He got hearing aids when he was 4, but they never worked right. He always spoke in a certain way because he couldn't hear his own voice. Some people thought his accent was funny. He let them think it was true. He told some people that he had trouble speaking. It hurt more to tell the truth. He wasn't able to hear well enough to say words correctly. His hearing got worse over time. Only 18% of the words he knew were still there when he was in his late 60s. Still, he didn't want a hearing aid. He was scared. It was only 12% until a friend got one, and it went up to 98%. That made everything different. He finally had the surgery in February 2021, when he was 69 years old. He could hear things better because of the implant, which also sent messages to his brain. His word recognition went from 18% to 65% in 6 weeks. He could hear whispers across the room, the ticking of machines, the sound of a car engine far away, and the cries of his grandchildren upstairs. He said it was like being born again. Like most people, he could hear things for the first time in his life. He said that hearing aids had never helped him hear so well. He now tells other people not to wait like he did. Everyone was shocked by what happened next. Carla, his 74-year-old wife, asked for a divorce in October 2023. They had been married for 43 years. Lou was controlling and putting her alone, she said. According to court papers, he made it hard for her to move around the house, restricting her to just 2 rooms. She said that even though she had dementia, he wouldn't make the house safer for her. She also said that he dominated her with his strength and size. Lou's actions were seen by her lawyers as part of a Machiavellian plan to keep her in the marriage and keep their $2.9 million California home. Lou denied the claims and said that her health was his biggest concern. Things got worse in early 2025. Lou, who is now 71 years old, sued his daughter Shanna, who is 42, and his sister-in-law. The elder was abused, he said. They reportedly tried to take $500,000 from Carla's account in March by driving her to a bank, even though Carla had been found not to be able to handle her own money. The bank stopped the transaction and got in touch with Lou. He said Shanna was using Carla against him by turning off cameras and making the guardians he had hired less effective. He said Carla was being lied to, so he asked for an order to keep them from getting to their funds, but Lou wasn't really blameless either. In court papers, Carla said that he was seeing a woman named Lisa. She said Lou went on the trip with Lisa, not in secret but in public. He spent most of his time away from their home and at events with her. She said Lou cared more about losing their house in a breakup than getting back together with her. Even Lou's texts showed that fear. This was used by Carla's lawyers to show that Lou wasn't just looking out for Carla. His goal was to keep himself safe. The scariest part was when Carla talked about how Lou supposedly used his huge, Hulk-like 6'5" frame to scare her physically. He told her he was the Hulk as he stood over her and screamed at her. She said he scared people with his size and strength instead of protecting them. He said she was greedy, and that she was ruining his life. He also said he wouldn't care for her anymore. These were more than just fights, they were games of power. The things she said hurt a lot, especially for fans who looked up to Lou as a strong and disciplined person. For many years, Lou Ferrigno was thought of as a real-life superhero. But behind the green muscles and loud roars was a man who was struggling with quiet loss, control and betrayal, both from himself and from those closest to him. It's no longer just about the Hulk in Lou Ferrigno's story. In real life, the anger can get out of hand. That's what the movie is about.